Everyone, and welcome back. If you are new here, then hello, my name is Zoe and this is my YouTube channel. Today we are carrying on the autumn theme. We're going to be doing like a nice everyday autumn makeup, kind of making this one up as I go along today. I have got all my products out ready. You will have seen what it turns out like in the thumbnail, and I'll leave a little picture here as well. So let's get straight into it again today. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you do like it, and let's start off with what I'm using first, which is the MAC Strobe Cream. I did moisturise this morning, but my skin is just so dry. I think when you start having the central heating on in your house, it really dries your skin out. And if you already have dry skin anyway, it's not really the best combo, but it is better than being cold. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of this everywhere. I always start like on the high points of my face and then I just buff it everywhere really. Because this is more of an everyday makeup, I'm going to do my skin first and then do eyes last today. But I'm going to be attempting a winged eyeliner, so I don't know whether I'm going to regret this decision. For my foundation, I'm going to use the Rimmel Wake Me Up. This is in the shade Soft Beige. I'm going to give it a good shake. I'm not sure if there's much left in this, so hopefully I can use it. And I'm just going to pop this everywhere. Maybe a little bit too dark for me, but that's new on this channel really. I did fake tan last night actually, so it shouldn't be that bad. And I'm going to build this up to like a nice medium coverage, because I still like a medium coverage for daytime because my skin tone is just so uneven. And then that is more of like a sheer cover for me, so I'm going to apply just a little bit more because I always layer my foundations rather than piling it all on straight away. Okay, so I'm happy with that coverage for now. I'm going to move on to concealer. I'm actually going to use the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer today. This is in the shade NW20. Like a little fluffy brush to apply it because this is a very full coverage. So I'm just applying this underneath my eyes. And then I'll use this on my eyelids today as well as my eyeshadow primer because it works really well as an eyeshadow base. And then right into my inner corners because always very dark under there now. And then just a little bit in the centre of my face. So I'll blend all this in first and then I will just apply a little bit extra just on my eyelids, just so it's there ready for my eyeshadow. Even though this is quite a thick concealer, it does last really well underneath the eyes and it doesn't feel, if you don't apply too much, it doesn't feel too heavy. You can go a little bit overboard with it, so you do have to be quite careful. Happy with that coverage now. We're going to set this in place. I'm not going to do any cream contour or anything today, only because I don't do that all the time for every day, and I want this to be more of like a simple everyday makeup. So to set it, I'm going to use the RCMA No Colour Powder. Absolutely love this at the moment, but you do have to be quite sparingly with it. So I'm just going to take a little bit on my beauty sponge and then just start pressing that into mainly like the centre areas I usually go for. The only thing I don't like about this is the packaging really, but I have ordered off eBay just some empty loose powder containers. I've just been too lazy to decant it. So I think that's going to be a little bit more helpful for me, so I can just use it from the container, whereas now you have to empty it out onto something. But for my contour, I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit, and I mix those two shades there and just start buffing this into my contour, and then I always buff a little bit onto my cheeks as well. And I do mainly go just around like the tops of my forehead and then into my contour on my cheeks as well. And then I'll just go over, just tap a little bit over my nose because I don't need to go into detail about my nose contouring. If you've seen my Tati Westbrook and Scott Barnes video, you'll know all about the nose contour. So then for my bronzer, I'm going to use my Makeup Revolution bronzer. This is in the shade 2, which is warm. I am still getting used to using this. It is maybe a little bit more warm in tone than I'm used to, but I do really like it and it does last all day on me as well. Again, just tap a little bit on my nose. And then for blush, I'm going to use a colour from my Sleek blush palette. This is the Lace 367 palette, and I'm going to use a little bit of that one right there. And again, these are really pigmented, so you only need a little bit. And if you just smile and just pop a little bit onto the apples of your cheeks, and then I always blend it back into my bronzer, that way it's not just like a rosy cheek. Let's move on to brows, and I'll just keep this part in, but I will edit it out if this video is like 100 hours long like my last few videos have been. So I'm going to start with the NYX brow pencil, and I use the shade Brunette. I was using the shade Chocolate, but it was just a little bit too red in tone for me, even though I have got ginger hair. I don't like my brows to look too red. So I kind of just fill in underneath first because that's where I am most sparse, and I'm really glad this video isn't zoomed in because my brows are such a mess. But I just kind of like to emphasise the shape from underneath rather on top because they are quite thick on top. And for everyday I do prefer a more fluffy brow anyway, so unless I was going out, I don't really tend to do like much with them. Sometimes I'll even just do a little bit of brow gel and that's it. Especially if they've like been freshly tinted. I don't really tend to need to do that much. Okay, so before and after, this one looks a hell of a lot better. Okay, so that is it for now. I can always go back and just neaten them up a little bit later. I'm just going to run a bit of brow gel through them. This is the Anastasia Tinted Brow Gel in Brunette. And I do like to brush all my brow hairs up just so they look a little bit more fluffy and textured. And this is what I'll use if I don't do like any pencil or anything as well. I'll just run a little bit of this through just to keep them in place all day. So moving on to eyes, I'm just going to take a little bit more of that concealer and then just neaten up under my brows a little bit because we haven't set the concealer that we've put on the eyelids, so we can add a little bit more before we set that in place. For my eyes today, I'm going to use the Huda Beauty New Nudes palette because this is such a pretty, like, everyday eyeshadow palette. There's nothing too sort of dark and smoky in here. They're all just really pretty, like, nude. To be fair, a lot of them are quite autumnal as well. So I'm going to stick to just using like 2 or 3 shades out of here. The first shade that I am going to use is Teddy, which is that sort of burnt orange at the bottom. It's such a pretty shade. This I'm going to apply all over my crease, maybe onto my lid as well. I'm not too sure yet. So I'm just taking a fluffy brush and popping this into my crease. I am going to be doing a winged eyeliner today because I haven't done one for ages and I just really feel like it today. So yeah, I'm going to pop this just all over my lid because I think it'll just be a little bit easier with what I want to do. I do really like this palette because the shades in here are like shades you could wear through like the spring and summer and through the autumn as well because they're not too like in your face and too bold. They're really pretty. Okay, just so it's like a nice soft like wash of colour, and then I'm just going to go in with a little bit of my bronzer, which I use the Makeup Revolution one, and I'm just going to go through my crease with a little bit of that just to warm it up a little bit because it doesn't come out as like orangey as it looks in the pan. It looks more pinky when it's on, so just a little bit of the bronzer just in the crease to warm it up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for that palette. I'm just going to dip into the Carli Bybel Deluxe palette. Just pick up a little bit of that one there on my finger. Just because I want something a little bit more sort of champagne-y gold. And then I'm just going to tap this just on the centre and then work my way inwards and outwards. It's a nice like warm sort of champagne-y pink. It's really pretty. And I always feel like shimmery shades apply better with your finger anyway. So I said I was going to do winged eyeliner and I am going to stick to that decision. I've just popped a couple of eye drops into my liner because it's actually quite dried out now. This is the Maybelline Eye Studio Black Gel Liner, which is my absolute favourite. And I'm going to apply it with my Zoeva 315 fine liner brush. And I'm just going for a little flick, which most of the time turns into a massive wing. I think they're going to be fine. I'm just going to take a little bit of that concealer on that little definer brush again and just sharpen up my wings a little bit. Okay, and then I'm not going to mess with it anymore. I'm just going to line my top waterline. This is the Barry Bold Waterproof Eyeliner, just so that when I apply my mascara, my roots of my lashes still look nice and thick, because I'm not going to apply any false lashes today. And then I'm just going to give my lashes a bit of a curl before I do my mascara. Then for mascara, I'm going to use the Rimmel Scandalage Reloaded. Then for my under eye, I'm not going to apply too much. I'm just going to use a little bit of that like warm brown shade from the Carli Bybel palette. I was going to leave it bare, but sometimes I just think you need just a little bit of something underneath. Okay, then mascara for my lower lashes, I'm going to use the Selfie Lash from Tanya Bear, only because that one that I've just used is quite thick. Okay, so for highlighter, I'm just going to take one from this palette. I'll use that one because that one's my favourite. Going too mad with it, just a little bit just on the tops of my cheeks, and then onto my forehead, a bit on my nose, and my cupid's bow. And then to highlight, I'm just going to use that bone coloured shadow from this palette, so a little bit just under my brow bone, and then I am just going to apply a tiny bit of that really light one, just the tiniest bit, just into my inner corners. So the last thing that we need to do is lips. So I'm going to do like quite a dark lip again. So I'm first going to use Jeffree Star's lip liner in the shade Leo, and then over the top I'm going to use Kylie Cosmetics Exposed Liquid Lipstick. I do like to do like a darker lip line and then a lighter lipstick over the top. Okay guys, so that is my everyday autumn makeup tutorial for 2019. I really hope you do like it. There's going to be plenty more to come, so if you do, please give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!